Hey, it's Lauren. So today we are talking about Clove Hallow's new sister company, Clover. And I am particularly excited about this. I have had the opportunity to work with Clove Hallow for a number of years now, really since I started my blog. For some reason, they took a chance on me back then to work with me, and I've had a really great relationship with their brand over the past few years. So when they said that they were launching Clover, they asked if they could send me some product to try. And of course, I'm like, yes. So we have a lot to talk about. And I have to say, I've been playing with this for a few weeks now. Most of it is really good. There's a few things that didn't work for me. We'll talk about that too. But what I am really excited about with this brand in particular is that they really are focusing a lot on sustainability and being more eco-friendly. So we'll talk about all of that too as we go through the products. So I'm not going to waste your time. Let's get started. So I'm going to start with the Skin Is In Serum Foundation. There are 14 shades of this. They initially sent me shades 2 and 3, which ended up being very, very light on me. I wear shade 5, and I absolutely adore this formula. Like, it is like buildable. Like, it kind of starts as like a sheer medium kind of coverage. It's buildable, it's really lightweight, it doesn't separate over the day. This retails for $22. Once I get this on my face, I will actually swatch all 4 shades that I have. I have 2, 3, 4, and 5, but I absolutely adore this formula. It really just, it makes your skin look better. It gives you a little bit of like a perfected sort of radiant glow. And it doesn't look heavy, like, at all. I don't know. This formula is magical. Like, look at that. It's just like, it's got this really beautiful luminosity to it, but it also doesn't leave you feeling greasy. So with this formula, and especially with the concealer, they utilized squalane, which is not technically an oil, but it has kind of an oil-like property in that it helps to moisturize your skin and really give you juicy baby skin. Yeah, 5 is a perfect match for my face. I love it. Absolutely love it. You'll notice I'm not covering that. Perioral dermatitis issues, I don't cover that whenever I have a flare because it will make it worse. I will use a powder over it just to tone the redness down, but I don't use liquids over it anymore. So let me show you some swatches of the shades that I have. All right, so we have 2, 3, 4, and 5. And I know 5 looks super dark on my arm, but when you take a color like this, and I always match to the center of my chest, it literally disappears. I know my face is a little bit lighter than the rest of me, but I know it looks like crazy dark because it's kind of swatched super thick. I could also wear shade 4. It's going to be a little more obvious, but it matches my face a little better. 4 will be a great shade when I'm not spending so much time out in the sun during the summer. I will say 2 is pretty pink based. 3 is more of a neutral. 4 has a very yellow golden base, which is personally what I tend to go for more. It just cancels out any redness in my face and it just matches my undertones a little bit better. And then 5, it looks more tan. But again, I'm not super dark. So I think that's something else to remember, because it's like when I put this on my face, it literally just disappears right now. So there are swatches of the 4 that I have. Obviously, not all of them work for me. I'm so thankful that they sent them to me though. So the cool thing about this, and I wanted to talk about more of the eco-friendly, sustainable aspect of this, is these are sugarcane based tubes, which really help to reduce the gas emissions in production. So I thought that was a really kind of cool thing. I know sugarcane is kind of like the up and coming trend with a lot of like bioplastics. So now we will move into concealers, and I have to say this concealer, also like the Skin Is In foundation, I love. Love. This stuff, like they nailed my preferences for different products. So I love kind of like a medium coverage on my skin. I don't like my base to be super heavy, but I do like a heavy hitting concealer because I do have some under eye blueness and I really just want to cover it all up in one fell swoop. So much like the foundation, there are 14 shades of concealer also, and this is the Camo Cover Concealer, and it is $18. So let me show you. Like, this stuff is so good. Little dabble do ya. I'm like trying to make sure I don't get too much. And kind of like I was mentioning with the foundation, they utilize squalane in this formula. The first ingredient of this concealer is squalane. So it's like got this really kind of like moisturizing property without being greasy and heavy, which is really pretty awesome. Same thing too as the foundations. You've got this sugarcane based tube. I will add more if I need it, but this stuff is like really, really some good coverage. Look at that. Boom, done. The one thing I've noticed with this, the concealers are just a titch lighter than the foundation formulas. I personally like this because you could get the same coordinating number of foundation and concealer, and you're gonna have a subtle brightening effect underneath your eyes, which that's typically what I need. Now, if you are someone who you were trying to conceal something on your face, I would almost recommend going a shade darker in your concealer. You might need to if you wanted a brightening effect under your eyes, and then having a concealer that better matched the foundation, because I do feel that their concealer is just a tiny, tiny bit brighter than the foundation. Look at that finish though. It's beautiful. It's not matte, it's not flat, it's not overly radiant. It's a true like satin finish. And much like the foundation, I find that this wears really well all day. I don't get separation where I've applied it. It has a really great coverage. Really, really comfortable. And again, they just really kind of nailed my preferences for formulas. I'm not overly surprised because one of my favorite products from the original Clove Hallow line is their concealer. That is a more matte formula, but it has such a fantastic coverage. So now I'm also going to swatch those 4 concealers, and I will put them next to their corresponding shades of foundation so you can see what I'm talking about with them being just a tiny bit lighter. All right, so I slightly offset them. So we have 2, 3, 4, and 5. And you can see they all are just like a titch lighter. So again, I like that because it has a very brightening effect. The next product we're going to talk about has just completely stolen my heart, and that is the Pressed Silk Blushing Balm. There are 3 shades of this. It is $18. I am absolutely in love. The formula of this is so beautiful. So they sent me 2 of the shades. I have the shade Heartthrob and Juiced. So Juiced is more of this like kind of reddish undertone pinkish shade. And then we've got more of like a cool toned pink shade with Heartthrob. Now, both of these shades actually work really, really well on me. So let me show you a little arm swatch of both of these. I'll start with Juiced. I'll put that right here. So you can tell it's got this really beautiful red, almost kind of corally shifting undertone. And then Heartthrob, which is more of a cool toned pink. And I honestly, both of these I think wear really, really nicely on my skin tone. I would say I have more of a neutral, slightly warm leaning skin tone. Both of these work really well on me for different things. I think Heartthrob is one of those shades that really kind of almost mimics if I've gone for a run and I get that, you know, really rich pink flush. Juiced reminds me more of like spending some time in the sun when you almost get kind of like a sunburned appearance and you have a little more of that reddish undertone. Both of these colors are just beautiful and they work great on my skin. The other thing I want you to notice, there is no mirror in this compact, And this compact is made from 100% recycled consumer plastics. So I thought that was kind of cool. I think they've done a really, really great job again of just using recycled plastics, making things that are recyclable, utilizing bioplastics like the sugarcane tubes. So I'm kind of debating what color I want to do today. We'll go with Heartthrob. I really, really love this color. And the nice thing with this formula too is you can kind of dip a brush into it. It is also very pigmented and it stays on for a very long time. This was the blush that I teased in my heat wave video where I talked about makeup that can withstand a heat wave. This stuff stays on so well for me. And the formula is so easy to work with. I mean, look at that. So this particular formula, it does have coconut oil in it, which if you've watched some of my previous videos, coconut oil gives me problems around my perioral dermatitis. Because this is coconut oil only in these blushes and it's staying up on my cheek, it doesn't really give me issues. So just something I think is worth noting though. I know a lot of people avoid coconut, they're sensitive to it. I avoid it around my nose and my mouth, but I think in a blush it's fine. It's the same as like the Westman Atelier. Like I love their blushes. It does have like coconut oil in it. But you know, sometimes coconut is not a bad thing. I think that's also something worth noting. I don't mind it in makeup so much, but in my skincare I try to avoid it. Look at that color. It's so beautiful. I'm almost tempted. We're gonna try something. I'm gonna layer a little tiny bit of juiced over top of this and just kind of see what that looks like. And I'm actually gonna keep it up a little higher like I've been out in the sun. I'll probably have to tone this down just a little bit with some foundation again, but I just wanna kind of play a little bit. Keep it higher like I've been outside. Those look so pretty together. Juiced kind of adds that like little additional pop. I think it's just so pretty. I'll take it over the bridge too. I adore this formula so much. Like I would say this ranks pretty high up in my favorites from the line. I'm really torn between the blush, the foundation, and the concealer. And then there's one other product that we'll talk about too that I really, really love. So I'm just gonna tap out the edges of this just so it's not too bright. So beautiful though. Nailed it. Okay, the next product that I wanna talk about is the Glow Stick Illuminator. There are 2 shades and this is $16. So this is something that's kind of new to me that I was really excited about. One of these Glow Stick Illuminators is called Glass Slipper and it is clear. Like it is not pigmented at all. It gives you just like this little bit of radiance with zero shimmer, which I know a lot of people don't like. Look at that. Oh, there it is. Yes. The formula of this is really nice. It's not like super tacky. So like if you have it on your cheeks and your hair were to get in it, it's not gonna be like stuck to your face necessarily. I love Glass Slipper. The other shade is Clio, which is more of like your traditional kind of champagne-y highlight color right there. And it's not chunky glitter. It's much more like shimmery and light, which is also a preference of mine when it comes to highlighting sticks. Much like some of the other products, this is 100% recycled consumer plastics. So I'm gonna use Glass Slipper today because I just think that this is so beautiful. Actually, before I do this, I'm gonna just lightly set my face with a little bit of powder. All right, so we'll use the shade Glass Slipper. I'm going to use this little Sonia Kashuk flat top concealer brush. I like this for just being able to pick up a little bit of highlighter. I got this just the other day just because I wanted something, so that way with stick products, I don't have to wipe them and like mess up my makeup underneath. I really wanted something that I could just kind of stipple and dot and apply, and this brush is the perfect size and shape, in my opinion, for a highlighter. Now, the interesting thing I will say, I don't know what it is about the scent of this one, but there is a little bit of a scent. It doesn't smell like fragrance necessarily. It smells like an ingredient. I don't know what it is though. I can kind of smell something, and I don't smell it on my face, but I definitely smell it like when I'm putting it on. Look at that. Oh, it's so beautiful. I absolutely love this product. And I think what I love so much about Gloss Slipper is that I don't have anything quite like this. And I just love the fact that it gives you this really glassy, beautiful skin without an added pigment or shimmer. It just gives you this really fresh, glowing skin. I love this product so much. Look at that. It's just like glass skin in a tube. And with that, I'm going to just dot on a little on the bridge of my nose, kind of bring back some radiance to my complexion. A little right there. Absolutely gorgeous. Love this product so much. So the next product we're going to talk about is the Plush Pigment Stick Eyeshadow. These are $16. These come in 5 shades, and it's 50% post-consumer recycled plastic. So they sent me 2 shades. I have Revolution and Showstopper. Showstopper is more of like this, make sure my hair is all wiped off, more of this like kind of coppery shade, kind of coppery, a little bit of a rose gold undertone. And then Revolution is more of like a bronzy kind of brown color, a bit deeper. All right, there we go. So I've been playing with this product a bit, and I don't love it, and here's why. I can swatch it on my hand and it shows up great. For some reason, when I try to get this on my eyelid, it just doesn't want to lay down the pigment. And I don't know if it's because there's more texture on my hand than my eyelids. I don't really understand what's happening here. I'll show you. I mean, they're super easy to use. I feel like I have to be really aggressive to get this to show up on my eyelid. And even when I'm doing like that, I don't know, I just don't feel like it has the same payoff as it does on my hand when I swatch it. And I know that this is the lighter of the 2 shades. I do love products in stick form. I mean, I love easy, fast makeup. These do have a very balmy texture. And so I don't know if it's because they're almost a little too balmy and that's why it's just not working on my eyelids great. I don't really know. I'm going to use Revolution over top of that. You can see I'm pressing and it's just not laying down that pigment for me. I mean, look at that. I'm getting up in there. I like really have to work hard to get it on there, and I don't really like being so rough with my eyelids. Okay, there you go. That's really kind of as good as I can get it. And the other thing I will say, I don't know if it's, again, because I'm not able to get much pigment laid down, but like after a few hours, this is just kind of not there. It just isn't really working for me. I love the idea of it, but the way that it translates on me is just not really happening. As you can see, that's kind of, I mean, it's easy and fast, but it also just doesn't really show up a ton on my eyes. So what I'm gonna do, now that you've seen this, I'm gonna put on some of the pressed pigments from the original Clove Hallow line. We'll just kind of use this as like a base for my eye look today. So this is the Sunrise palette from the original Clove Hallow line. So I'm going to use a little bit of this kind of coppery shade because I really feel like that kind of matches with Showstopper. So we'll use this as our base. And then for Revolution, I'll just go over it with that. There we go. Get a little more payoff. I mean, like, look at the difference. And this is a powder. Normally, I feel like creams are more bold and really kind of show up better with a different kind of texture and vibrancy and just, but it just doesn't work for me with this stick. Okay, so we'll get that on there. Works fine as a base though. It's really grabbing that color where I need it. All right, that's a bit better. So now we are going to move into the all lined up eyeliners. There are 2 shades. These come in a little glass tub, so that's easy to recycle. They have black and brown. It's really just pretty straightforward. And here is black. And then here is brown. I love both of these. By the way, the brown for some reason has a little bit like stiffer of a texture. I don't know if like it just got really hot when things were shipping, but the black came to me a little bit more almost kind of melty looking, but they perform the same. It doesn't change the way that it performs at all, which is good to know. So I am thinking for today, I'm going to use brown. I really, really love this brown eyeliner, especially because I don't really have a brown gel eyeliner. So I've really, really enjoyed this one. And you can see it's got like a really nice kind of like truffly rich texture. I don't know if you can see that. It's really, really lovely. And so what I like to do is I'm taking a MAC eyeliner brush right now. And then what I like to do is just kind of squish that in the cap to get off a little bit of that excess. That way I'm not making a big mess where I'm applying this. So let me do this. I love the brown because it's a softer winged shape. I really, really like this. You can also use these to kind of apply and then use like a small stiff, dense brush and smudge it out while it's still wet. Once you set though, they don't move, which I absolutely is a necessity, like with a gel liner for me. Absolutely love that formula. I think it's fantastic. And these are $16, by the way. Now let's talk about their Maxed Out Volumizing Mascara. It comes in 2 shades, black and brown. My preference for mascara is black mascara. Reason being, if you look at my eyelashes, they're actually pretty dark naturally. I know a lot of people really love a good brown mascara, but if I'm being very honest, most brown mascara is either the same color as my lashes or a little bit lighter. And so it actually kind of has the opposite effect for me, where it doesn't necessarily darken and define my eyes. It kind of washes them out a little bit. So what I will say is their brown is pretty deep and pretty rich. I think if you are a blonde or a redhead, you might really appreciate this formula if you have lighter lashes, but for someone like myself, I've already got darker lashes, so I'm gonna stick with black mascara. This is $18, and if you look at this one, let me see if I can get it to focus. It is double-sided, so you've got like several rows of like tightly packed bristles on one side, and then on the other side you have like, how many rows is it? Like 3 kind of like wider chunky teeth. You can kind of see better here. The bottom's like really close and defined, and then the top is like wider and spaced apart. So they really kind of gave you 2 different brushes. So if you really want to lay down a ton of the product, you could use those more spaced out bristles. If you wanted a little more soft and fluttery, you could use the closer ones together. My preference is the closer ones together. Reason being, this formula is on the wetter side, I have found, and it could be because it's an extremely new tube. But it's on the wetter side. It's not super thick and creamy. It's almost more like a gel type texture. And it lays down a ton of product already. So I don't need those spaced out teeth that are really going to lay down more. So let me put this on and show you. Okay, so you can see it makes my lashes really, really dark. They're not overly long. It really is more of a true volumizing formula. The one thing I want you to notice is I do get some transfer on my eyelid. And I think, again, it's just kind of because it's a really wet formula, and I think it's just because it's a really new tube. So let me go ahead and do my other eye, and we can kind of chat more about this. It does that little thing where it like grabs the tips of your lashes sometimes and like makes them like a little chunky, which I don't really love. Got it. All right, there we go. I'm not going to put any on the bottom today just because I am going to be going for a walk and it's starting to get hot outside, and I just want to minimize the chances of transfer. So now that this should be pretty dry, I can dust off where I made some mistakes, some bumps. And the nice thing is that this formula, you actually can just very easily flake off any mascara bumps. Because again, this formula is so wet, it takes some time to dry. And I've noticed, and it could be because my eyelashes are long, but I've noticed that my eyelashes, if they've bumped against my brow bone, they kind of like stick together. So I do have to be careful as this is drying for it to not make spider lashes on me. So this mascara wears really nicely. I don't end up with a ton of smudging. I don't end up with a ton of like fallout and flaking. After like 8 hours of wear, I'll have maybe like a little like tiny bit of transfer, but it's not bad with this mascara at all. I kind of feel like this is the type of formula that I will enjoy more as the tube begins to dry out a little bit. I think initially it's just a little too wet for my liking. I do like the brush a lot. It gives me a lot of lift. I like how my eyelashes look with this, but it is a very wet formula, and I think it just needs some time to dry out, and I think I'll enjoy it more with time. The next product that we're going to talk about is the Super Slick Lip Jelly. They sent me 2 shades. There's this kind of pinker shade, which is called Skyline, and then there is the clear one, which I have not opened. This is also great. You can kind of get to see what their packaging looks like. Very simple cardboard. You can also see sustainably made in the USA. Let me show you this. This is one of those things that it promises not to be sticky, heavy, gloppy ever. I really liked the color of this. I thought it was really, really pretty. So what you can see is there's this doe foot. The interesting thing about this doe foot, it's pretty big, but also there's like a little like cupped reservoir where it'll catch a little bit more product. So let me show you. It adds like the most subtle hint of a tint. I think the color is really, really pretty. These retail for $14. They're very light, and I feel like they kind of absorb quickly. So here's my thoughts. I personally am someone who wants almost a slightly sticky lip, like lip balm, because it's actually going to stay on a lot longer. This just wears off of my lips really fast. It feels really nice. I like the color a lot. If you're someone who likes a lighter lip gloss, something that kind of veers more on the territory of like a lip oil, I think that you would really like this. My personal preference is, though, I want something that is more like a MAC lip gloss or a Pat McGrath, something that's really going to kind of stick on my lips and stay there for a couple of hours. So beautiful color, though. This is the last product, and much like the blushes, I adore this. These are the Comfy Matte Lipsticks, and they are $16. There are 5 shades total, and they sent me Retro and Blissful. So let me show you what those look like. Retro really coordinates nicely with the cheek color Juice. It's this kind of like bright red, beautiful retro red. And then Blissful is more of like a slightly cooler pink. It's almost more of like a raspberry jam kind of color. And also, actually, for fun, let me show you what those cheek colors look like next to them. So we'll do Heartthrob, which is this pinkish shade. Coordinates very, very nicely with it. And Juiced, which is more of the reddish shade. So you can see how those kind of play together. I love both of these, and I also really love the formula of these. So the nice thing about these is that they almost give you like a blotted popsicle stain effect, which I think is just so pretty. I love both of these colors on me, and I'm gonna layer them today because we kind of did that with the blush too. So I'm gonna start with Blissful. There you can see a much stronger application. Kind of soften and blot that out. It's so beautiful. And when they say comfy matte, like, let me tell you, it really is comfortable. It has kind kind of a balmy type of texture, which I really, really appreciate because I don't like dry feeling lips. In the original Clove Hallow line, they have the lip velvets, which are their liquid lips that dry down with a very matte finish. And I know everybody really loves those, and I think that they're great and long wearing, but personally, that's not the kind of texture that I like. I like something that feels more like a lip balm, but has more of a matte appearance. So I'm gonna take the shade Retro and just kind of layer this over. Like, why not? You can see it just adds a little bit of brightness to Blissful. Absolutely love this formula. It is outstanding. And the cool thing about these lipstick tubes, they are the first ever 100% post-consumer recycled plastic tubes that are also fully recyclable. So I thought that was a really cool little tidbit that I wanted to share with you all. Personally, I actually like that they chose plastic for this. I kind of hate lipstick tubes that are like the cardboard papery type thing, because they just kind of, you're using a lot of pressure to get it on your lips a lot of times, and I just feel like they just don't hold up well, especially getting knocked around in your purse. I like something a little more durable. I also like the idea of refillable lipsticks. I've had those in the past too, but I absolutely love the formula of this, and the price point is really accessible too. That's kind of, I will say, like across the line, all of this has a much more budget-friendly kind of price point compared to some of the stuff that you're going to find at like Ulta and Sephora. But the quality is really there for a lot of these products, kind of like I showed you. Oh, I need to do my eyebrows. Okay, I've got my eyebrows on. I feel a little more cohesive. I was like looking at my face and I'm like, what is wrong? Something is missing. I look a little more tied together now, like as a full complete look. So let's kind of run down on some of this stuff. This is all USA made. So if you are really into supporting your local US economy, if you are in the US, that is something I think that is noteworthy. They are net neutral with plastics. What that means is that they're using a lot of recycled plastics and they're very eco-conscious and that sort of thing, but they're also taking low value plastics out of circulation. Things that couldn't have been reused otherwise. They really prioritize post-consumer recycled plastics, bioplastics, and making sure that things are recyclable. The other thing that I really liked is that they sent this mailer in a recyclable cardboard cutout type thing. I'll put a picture up here. It was really, really cool. The craziest thing about that, I was like blown away by what they sent me. And then I was like gonna go take the box apart, and then I pulled it out and there was a whole other tray underneath there, and I was just like I was not expecting that. So that was pretty cool. But also it's just very easy to recycle. And for those of you who are very ingredient conscious, all of this is up to the EU standards, which they say is a little more strict than the US. And they really focus on formula excellence, and they have an ingredient glossary online if you are curious about what is inside of their products. Overall, I think that this is such a fantastic first launch from Clover, and I love the packaging. Even my husband, he saw the packaging and he's like, oh, that's really nice looking. Like, that has a really nice color scheme. I really like it. And like, the man doesn't care about makeup. Like, he doesn't care about any of that, but this he actually liked, which I thought was kind of interesting. This is available on Amazon. It's available on their website, and it will also be available in a drugstore near you in the near future. At the time of filming this, I don't know what drugstore just yet. Once I do, I will put it down in the description box. They haven't announced it though, but very, very exciting to have this coming to a drugstore. I was so excited for Sarah when she said this would be in a drugstore, because that's a huge opportunity for growth. And honestly, I'm so impressed with the number of products that they have launched for this initial launch. I think is like mind-boggling to me, because most of the time when you have a new brand, a smaller brand, an indie brand that is coming onto the market, they can't do this. It's very expensive to do this. And they've done a fantastic job with it. So well done. Great price points. Love that they're focusing on eco-friendly packaging, sustainability, recycling. I can't wait to see what else they will launch. I think this is just amazing first launch from a brand. And I love how my makeup looks, and it wears insanely well. So I hope that this has been very informative and thorough. If you have any questions about the brand, feel free to drop questions down below. I'm happy to answer and help as best I can. If you enjoyed this, please make sure to like and subscribe. It helps other people to find my channel, and I can continue making this kind of content for you. Big thank you to Clover for sending all of this to me to try. I really appreciate it. I'm really enjoying a lot of these products so much. You'll see them in more of my tutorials coming up. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.